I want you to just picture the night sky for a second. And specifically, I want you to look for that unblinking kind of rusty red dot that we call Mars.
Right, yeah.
But instead of thinking about, modern rovers or just cold, lifeless rocks tumbling through a vacuum, I want you to try and imagine a cosmic being, like a being born from a literal divine rescue mission, from this intense, universe-shattering heartbreak, and from the very sweat of a grieving god.
I mean, the shift in perspective there is just staggering, really, when you approach the night sky through that lens,
Yeah, completely.
Because viewing a celestial body not as just this mere collection of iron oxide and dust, but as a living, breathing testament to cosmic emotion and decisive action, it fundamentally alters our relationship with the universe around us.
It totally does. And welcome to today's deep dive into our source material. Our mission today is to unravel this spellbinding, multi-layered mythology behind the birth of Mars. In our ancient Hindu texts, particularly the Puranas, he's known as Kuja, or Mangala. And what we're going to explore today is how these ancient narratives aren't just, fantastical tales meant to entertain.
Right, they're not just fairy tales.
Exactly. They are these incredibly sophisticated vehicles carrying profound spiritual, psychological, and astrological truths. Truths about human drive, about our deep-seated need for property, and the raw mechanics of passion.
And to truly grasp the weight of these narratives, we really have to establish the foundational concept of the Navagrahas first.
Okay, yeah. Lay that groundwork for us.
So in ancient cosmology, the Navagrahas are the 9 planetary deities. And the texts assert that these planets are not simply inert spheres floating out in the ether, right? They are active, dynamic forces of intelligence.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, they actually govern human karma from the very moment a person is conceived in the womb, tracking alongside them all the way to their final breath. I mean, they essentially serve as the arbiters of a person's thoughts, their speech, and their deeds.
So they're basically turning the wheel of karma for us.
Exactly.
They define the boundaries of human experience, like health, wealth, progeny, education. It all operates under their influence. But before we can actually tell the epic story of Mars, we have to pause and look at the architecture of the myth itself.
Right, the framework.
Yeah, because we need to understand how the ancient sages actually taught these massive abstract concepts.
Right.
If we try to read these texts with a literal modern mindset, we are going to miss the point entirely.
Oh, absolutely. The pedagogy of the ancient world was remarkably strategic. Yes, remember, the sages who composed these texts were master educators.
Right.
And they were tasked with uplifting an entire civilization. So they were dealing with a vast spectrum of human intellect and spiritual readiness.
From, illiterate farmers trying to survive all the way to enlightened mystics seeking liberation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they couldn't just dump complex cosmological and psychological theories onto the general public. It wouldn't work.
No, it would go completely over their heads.
Right. So they devised a highly structured, multi-tiered educational system that met the individual exactly where their consciousness was currently residing.
I look at it almost like a massive educational funnel, right? Or a curriculum with very specific difficulty settings.
That's a great way to put it.
Because if we look at the first level, it seems designed entirely for the masses. The sources point to simple, engaging fables like the Panchatantra.
Yes.
And the goal here is mass appeal, right? It's about arousing basic interest and embedding foundational moral, ethical, and social messages.
And the genius of that first level really lies in its accessibility. By using archetypal figures, often talking animals, it allows the listener to absorb lessons about greed, cooperation, and consequence.
Without getting defensive.
Precisely, without triggering their own ego defenses. But as human beings mature, their problems become way more complex than those simple fables can address.
Right. A talking crow isn't going to help you navigate a midlife crisis.
Exactly. Which necessitates the second level aimed at the householders. Here we find the monumental epics, the Ramayana and the Mahabharata.
And the stakes in those epics are just incredibly high. It's no longer about a clever crow tricking a fox. It's about devastating family dramas, massive wars, impossible moral choices.
Yes, exactly.
I imagine the purpose here is highly practical. It provides ordinary men and women with a framework for the incredibly difficult, messy task of raising worthy children and just functioning in a complex society.
It gives them role models who suffer, fail, and strive. And then, moving beyond the societal struggles of the householder, we encounter the third tier.
Okay, what's there?
This domain was reserved for the scholars, the ascetics, the deep researchers of the time. This level comprises the Vedas and the intense philosophical commentaries written by enlightened minds.
So no more stories at this level.
Right, the focus shifts away from narrative entirely. It's a space for explaining the extreme intricacies of philosophy, logic, and the pure, unvarnished mechanics of cosmic reality. It involves rigorous, uncompromising debate.
Which brings us to the fourth level, and this is where our story of Mars actually lives. This is the domain of the Puranas and the Upanishads.
Yes, the final tier.
And from what the sources tell us, this is where the entire system folds into itself with just sheer elegance.
It really does.
The sages essentially took those highly abstract, heavy philosophical and astrological mechanics from the third tier, and they cloaked them inside gripping, seemingly fantastical stories. They hid the underlying code inside a beautiful narrative interface.
And the terminology often used to describe this duality is the gross narrative versus the subtle reality.
Gross meaning surface level, right?
Exactly. The gross narrative is the surface level story. The monsters, the battles, the divine boons. But the subtle reality contains the actual astrological mechanics and psychological truths.
That makes so much sense.
And we must be highly cautious as modern readers here. When divine entities in these stories perform actions that seem utterly contradictory to our modern ethical standards, we cannot apply contemporary moral yardsticks to gauge their virtue.
Right, because they aren't people.
Exactly. These entities are personifications of cosmic forces, natural phenomena, and universal truths.
So it's essentially like a video game with different difficulty settings for enlightenment.
I love that analogy.
Right, because a child can play the surface level, they can look at the Puranas and enjoy the graphics, the monsters, the blazing weapons. But a master, someone who actually understands the subtle astrological mechanics, is reading the underlying code to understand how the universe actually runs.
The gross story provides the graphics, and the subtle meaning reveals the code.
Beautifully put.
And the origin code of the planet Mars is perhaps one of the most dynamic in the entire canon. It initiates with an event of massive cosmic violence and intervention.
Let's dive right into that code then. The birth of Mars begins with a literal planetary rescue mission. So to set the scene, the sources take us back eons ago to a period of cosmic dissolution and recreation.
The cosmic sea.
Right. The Earth, referred to as Prithvi or Bhudevi, is not safely spinning in the stable orbit we know today. She is fully submerged in the vast, dark, chaotic expanse of the cosmic seas.
And the imagery of that cosmic sea represents the unmanifested chaotic state of reality before physical laws govern it.
Like absolute entropy.
Exactly. But the Earth isn't just floating there, she's actively held captive. The narrative introduces a destructive demon, an asura named Hiranyaksha.
And what does he represent in the code?
Well, psychologically and cosmologically, an asura represents an entity completely bound by ego, materiality, and unchecked power.
Okay, got it.
And Hiranyaksha establishes a reign of absolute terror. He violently thrashes the cosmic waters with his club, creating these massive, insurmountable waves that physically submerge the Earth, literally holding her captive under his heel.
So the situation is incredibly dire. And meanwhile, you have the very first conscious human prototypes, Swayambhuva Manu and his wife, Satarupa.
Yes, the progenitors.
They are just standing by, effectively holding the blueprint for human civilization, ready to populate the world. But they literally have no ground to stand on. The foundation of reality is drowning in chaos.
Quite literally.
So they appeal to Brahma, the creator deity, basically saying, hey, we have a cosmic job to do, but the stage hasn't been set. Where is the Earth?
And Brahma recognizes that the subjugation of the Earth by this level of unchecked ego is beyond his specific cosmic function of creation.
He's the creator, not the preserver or the fighter.
Exactly. So he must appeal to the supreme god of preservation, Lord Vishnu. And the resulting intervention is one of the most physics-defying, striking images in the Puranic texts.
That's so wild.
Brahma closes his eyes in fervent prayer, and from his right nostril emerges a minuscule, pure white boar.
A tiny white boar flies out of his nose. And if we are reading the code here, this isn't just absurd fantasy, right? The nostril represents the breath, the prana, the very life force of the creator initiating an action.
The symbolism is so dense here. And the boar, or the Varaha avatar of Lord Vishnu, is chosen specifically because a boar is an animal naturally equipped to plunge into muck, mud, and water to root out what is hidden beneath.
That is so specific and cool.
It really is. And in an instant, this minuscule creature metamorphoses into a colossal, gigantic beast, blazing with an aura as bright as the sun. He dives into the chaotic cosmic waters with a thunderous roar.
And he engages the Asura Hiranyaksha in this ferocious, world-shaking combat, right?
Yes, ultimately goring the embodiment of destructive ego to death.
And then comes the actual rescue of the physical planet. The gigantic boar rises triumphantly from the turbulent oceans, and the texts describe him holding the earth, Prithvi, incredibly tenderly between his pristine white tusks.
The contrast there is beautiful. The violence of the battle versus the tenderness of the rescue.
Yeah. He carries her out of the chaotic, unmanifested waters and places her carefully into a designated, perfectly stable orbit in the cosmos.
And our source material notes a fascinating modern parallel here. It points out that just as contemporary aerospace engineers calculate trajectories to place man-made satellites into specific, stable orbits using rockets, the divine intelligence effectively placed the Earth into her perfect orbital path.
Wow.
So Lord Vishnu acts as the original cosmic architect, establishing the physical laws required for life to flourish.
It's an incredible way to conceptualize planetary alignment. But the mythology insists that the story doesn't end with the physics of the rescue, right?
Right.
It's the profound emotional aftermath of this salvation that actually gives birth to Mars. Prithvi is completely overwhelmed with profound gratitude toward the divine for her rescue from the chaos.
Yes, absolute pure thankfulness.
And in her state of pure thankfulness, she asks the divine for a very feminine boon. She desires to bear a child.
And the Supreme Being obliges. The resulting divine union with the newly rescued, deeply grateful Earth results in the conception of Mars. He comes into existence.
I really want to pause and extrapolate on this because it feels like the key to his entire psychological profile.
It absolutely is.
What does it actually mean for a cosmic force to be born exclusively of profound gratitude and overwhelming salvation? Mars is permanently, intrinsically linked to the physical soil because he is her literal son. He earns the title Bhumiputra, the son of the earth.
And we must also consider the unique nature of this birth. According to the text, the goddess Mahalakshmi observes that the earth is uniquely blessed.
How so?
Well, by divine intervention, Prithvi is granted this radiant child without having to endure the natural rigors, physical toll, and pains of a biological pregnancy.
Oh, wow.
Mars is not born of struggle in that sense. He is the pure, instantaneous manifestation of that divine union of absolute salvation and infinite gratitude.
If Mars is the child of the physical earth and the ultimate savior of the universe, I have to wonder, does that make him the ultimate golden child of the cosmos?
That's an interesting way to look at it.
I mean, you have the foundational rock of reality as your mother and the supreme rescuer of existence as your father. That creates a being defined by massive explosive energy and a sense of absolute unshakable purpose.
Unshakable.
He isn't just born to passively exist. His very DNA is forged from an act of dynamic, violent rescue and supreme benevolence.
It establishes a foundation of intense protective energy. However, the ancient sages rarely relied on a single narrative thread to explain the complexity of human karma.
They layer them.
Exactly. They layered multiple concurrent origin stories to build a fully realized psychological profile of a planetary deity.
Okay, so what's the next layer?
Well, the story of the boar establishes his elemental, unbreakable connection to the physical earth and his protective mandate. But there is a second, parallel origin story that is required to explain the volatile, fiery, almost dangerous energy that Mars possesses.
The second layer of the origin code, and unlike the joy and gratitude of the first story, this one starts with unimaginable, suffocating tragedy. It's the story of the tears, the trance, and the sweat of a grieving god.
Yes. This narrative centers on Lord Shiva, the cosmic force of destruction and ultimate transformation.
Right.
The Puranas describe Shiva experiencing a catastrophic, deeply personal loss, the tragic, fiery death of his beloved wife Sati.
And the texts do not shy away from the emotional devastation this caused, do they?
Not at all. The supreme deity is described as being completely inconsolable, pathetic, and shattered by a profound, paralyzing depression.
It is an incredibly humanizing moment in the ancient texts. You have this supreme deity, the transformer of the entire universe, and he is just absolutely gutted by grief.
Completely gutted.
He loses his anchor, and the pain is so immense that he simply cannot function in the world.
And to cope with this insurmountable psychological pain, Shiva completely withdraws.
Yeah.
He retreats to the icy, isolated peaks of Mount Kailash, and there he enters into a state of samadhi.
Now, in modern parlance, we often equate meditation with, gentle relaxation.
Right, like a spa day for the mind.
Exactly. But the samadhi described here is not a quiet, peaceful retreat. It is a profound, agonizing, intensely focused trance that lasted for an incalculable number of years.
He completely severed his consciousness from the external world in order to process a cosmic level of heartbreak.
If we think about the mechanics of trauma and grief, even on a human level, processing that pain takes an immense toll on the physical body. It generates heat. You clench, you sweat, your heart races. Now, multiply that by infinity. You have a being of limitless power locking all of that explosive, devastating emotion inside a frozen, perfectly still meditation.
Like a cosmic pressure cooker.
Exactly. The stillness is an illusion. Inside, it is a roaring furnace of processed grief.
And the internal exertion required to metabolize that level of supreme pain is just unfathomable. Eventually, the text tells us this long, agonizing contemplation succeeded in quieting his agitated mind.
The grief is processed.
Yes, but the kinetic energy generated by that process had to go somewhere. Energy doesn't just disappear.
Right.
When Shiva finally broke his meditation and opened his eyes, the intense, stored internal heat caused a sudden physical reaction. A single, heavy drop of his divine sweat fell from his brow and plummeted down from the heavens to the physical world below.
All those centuries of frozen stillness, all that lockdown energy, and then the release valve opens. That single drop of sweat contains all the pent-up kinetic and emotional energy of the entire universe breaking out of stagnation. I mean, no wonder Mars is considered an absolute powerhouse.
And the physical Earth, Prithvi, who, as we learned in the previous narrative, is deeply receptive to divine energy and already holds the title of his mother, she gladly accepted this drop of highly charged sweat.
And what happens when it hits the ground?
The moment the sweat met the soil, it instantly transformed into a beautiful, resplendent, glowing child.
So Bhumiputra is born concurrently from the sweat of a grieving Shiva meeting the fertile soil of the grateful earth.
Yes, exactly.
You have the ultimate expression of processed trauma meeting the ultimate expression of salvation. That is just incredible.
And the intensity of this child is immediately recognized by the cosmos. To ensure this raw, unbridled energy doesn't simply consume itself or the world, the child receives immense blessings.
Who steps in?
Goddess Saraswati, the embodiment of profound knowledge in the arts, steps forward and blesses him, imbuing him with necessary wisdom.
So he's not just a mindless force.
Exactly. And the Holy Trinity, the Trimurti of Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, representing the totality of creation, preservation, and destruction, they formally acknowledge his existence.
Wow.
And the divine sage Narada proclaims that this fiery child represents the very essence of Maheswara, or Shiva himself.
The spiritual symbolism hidden in the code here is just breathtaking. Because Shiva's sweat is not just salty water, it is the literal physical manifestation of supreme mental exertion.
Yes.
It is the physical byproduct of surviving trauma. It is unimaginable stored energy breaking out of total stillness into sudden, intense, unavoidable reality.
And astrologically, this explains the core nature of Mars perfectly. Mars represents the spark of action that abruptly follows a long period of contemplation.
The sudden explosion of movement.
Exactly, born from deep, hidden internal heat.
Yeah.
Whenever a human being finally takes decisive action after a long period of paralyzing doubt or grief, they are expressing the fundamental energy of that drop of divine sweat.
Okay, so we have this incredibly complex personality, forged from the union of Earth's gratitude and Shiva's agonizing meditative heat. A child born of rescue and trauma. So how does the ancient text actually visualize this being? Like, what does the anatomy of Mars look like, and how does he act?
Well, the physical description detailed in the text is highly specific and laden with symbolism. He is recorded as being born in the month of Shravan under a highly auspicious astrological alignment.
Okay.
And the infant comes forth possessing 4 hands. In these hands, he wields a conch, a discus, a mace, and a lotus flower.
Let's really unpack those items, because the sages didn't just hand him random objects, right? A god born of war and grief holding a delicate lotus it's a striking juxtaposition.
It is. Each item is a profound psychological tool. The conch represents the primordial sound of creation and the broadcasting of absolute truth. A warrior must communicate clearly.
Right.
The discus is a weapon of the mind, spinning to cut through the illusions and ignorance that cloud human judgment.
And the mace.
The mace represents raw discipline, the blunt, unyielding strength required to enforce order. But the lotus is perhaps the most vital.
How so?
The lotus is a flower that roots itself in the darkest, muckiest mud. yet blooms pristinely above the water, completely untouched by the filth.
Oh, that's beautiful.
It symbolizes spiritual purity and unfolding consciousness remaining intact, despite the muddy, often bloody reality of physical action.
So he holds the capacity for brutal discipline and pure spiritual unfolding simultaneously.
Precisely.
The texts also describe him wearing tawny attire, glowing resplendent like actual lightning, and wearing crocodile-shaped earrings known as makara, along with the divine Kaustubha gem on his neck.
And the makara, or crocodile earrings, are fascinating. A crocodile represents the primal, ancient, instinctual forces lurking in the deep waters of the subconscious mind.
Right, the reptilian brain, essentially.
Exactly. By wearing them on his ears, Mars demonstrates mastery over these deep-seated predatory instincts, rather than being ruled by them. And the Kaustubha gem represents pure, unblemished consciousness shining through.
And he has a specific weapon, too, right?
Yes. His specific weapon of choice, distinct from the items in his four hands, is a formidable spear or lance called Sakti, which literally translates to power or energy.
The ultimate aesthetic of a celestial warrior god. And his complex nature is really reflected in the various names bestowed upon him. We've used Kuja and Mangala, but there are several others.
His nomenclature serves as a psychological profile in itself. He is called Kuja, a name that constantly reinforces his miraculous birth from the earth.
Okay.
He is referred to as Angaraka, which speaks directly to his fiery, burning red, almost volatile nature. He is known as Kumara, indicating a state of perpetual youthfulness and limitless martial vigor.
But the name that presents the most fascinating contradiction is Mangala, isn't it?
It really is.
Mangala. The sources explicitly state that this name denotes good, worthy, and auspicious acts. It establishes that, at his absolute core, he possesses a deeply benefic, protective nature. But here's where I hit a massive contradiction in the source material. Later in the text, there is a fascinating sequence where Lord Shiva gathers the Navagrahas and essentially gives them a cosmic performance review.
Yes, that sequence is crucial.
Shiva reminds them that while they are divine beings, the moment they descended into the physical plane and took on gross physical bodies, their pure divine attributes were immediately diluted and corrupted by their physical senses.
And that concept is a crucial pillar of the entire mythological framework. The descent from subtle, pure astral energy into gross, dense physical matter inherently introduces friction.
And that friction manifests as fatal character flaws.
Exactly.
And the sources are brutally honest about Mars's flaw. They state that he possesses lightning-quick execution and immense self-confidence, but that this confidence routinely borders on dangerous arrogance and a, quote, despicable vanity.
Despicable vanity.
Right. So how do we square this circle? His name literally means good and worthy acts, but he suffers from despicable vanity. How does a noble, protective warrior become a vain hothead?
Well, this contradiction is where the profound psychological genius of the Puranas truly shines. Mars is the absolute embodiment of the doer.
The doer with a capital D.
Yes, he is pure kinetic energy and forceful action personified. He is the ultimate warrior, formally anointed as the celestial commander-in-chief of the entire planetary cabinet.
Okay.
And if we analyze the psychological requirements for supreme military command, hesitation is a death sentence. To lead forces into battle, to enforce order in a chaotic universe, you require an ego made of iron. You must possess unshakable self-confidence in your own righteousness.
Oh, I see. To swing the sword, you have to fundamentally believe your swing is morally correct.
Exactly. You can't be paralyzed by philosophical doubt on the battlefield.
Right.
Precisely the point. However, action completely devoid of reflection and confidence completely stripped of humility inevitably metastasizes into arrogance.
It goes sour.
Yes. As the commander, he requires a massive ego to function. But the ancient sages are using his story to warn us that the physical form corrupts even the purest divine intention. The physical senses crave validation. They amplify pride.
So the benefic nature of Mangala, the deep desire to do good, to protect the innocent, to execute justice, is his uncorrupted divine core.
Correct.
And the despicable vanity is simply the friction of that intense divine energy operating inside the limitations of a gross physical body.
You've got it exactly.
His greatest flaw is literally just an overextension of his greatest strength. That makes Mars not just a distant cosmic force, but something deeply, almost painfully relatable to the human condition.
It really does. Every single one of us struggles with navigating that razor-thin boundary between necessary self-confidence and toxic ego.
Totally.
It is the inherent, unavoidable danger of being a doer in this world. When your primary mode of interaction with reality is forceful, decisive action, your sheer momentum guarantees that you will occasionally crash into things and cause collateral damage.
The text isn't condemning him then.
No, it is observing the physics of his psychology.
Okay, so we have fully mapped out this lightning-clad, four-armed, fiercely confident warrior, born of the physical earth and the searing sweat of a grieving god.
Yes.
But we have to connect this back to you, the listener, because the fundamental premise of the Navagrahas is that they actively rule the domains of our daily lives. How does this celestial history practically impact a human being trying to navigate the modern world?
That's the real application of the code.
Right. So let's ground this myth by exploring the tangible earthly domains over which Mars exercises absolute sovereignty, specifically shelter, wealth, and the zodiac.
So because the mythological code establishes Mars as Bhumiputra, the literal son of the earth, it follows with perfect logical consistency that he exercises immense, unparalleled power over the earth itself.
Okay.
In astrological and practical terms, he holds complete dominion over land, property, real estate, and physical territory.
So if we were to use a modern analogy, he is the ultimate cosmic landlord and zoning board wrapped into one.
A very fitting comparison. The texts explicitly state that he grants the worldly, highly sought-after gift of a house or shelter to human beings.
But because we know his psychological profile, he is the celestial commander, not a passive architect. He doesn't merely hand you the deed to a house, right?
Exactly. He grants you the martial prowess, the courage, and the territorial strength to actively protect that shelter from threats.
That dual nature is reflected in his titles. He's known as Pukaraka, the significator and ruler of land, and simultaneously Yudakaraka, the ruler of warfare and conflict.
And the mythology is making a profound point here. Those two domains are intimately, inextricably linked.
You cannot possess a kingdom or a home if you lack the capacity and the will to defend its borders.
The connection between property and martial strength is a historical and psychological constant. Furthermore, the mythology provides a specific geographic grounding for this energy.
Oh, really?
When Lord Shiva apportioned the various regions of the earth to the Navagrahas, he assigned Mars, the specific historical earthly kingdom of Avanti, to rule over, anchoring his celestial energy to a tangible location.
And what about in astrology?
In the grand astrological wheel of the zodiac, Brahma decreed that the fiery energy of Mars would command the signs of Aries and Scorpio.
And the ancient educational system goes even deeper into the natural world, doesn't it? The sages assigned very specific earthly elements like metals, plants, colors to the planets.
Yes, they did.
It seems like a method to show human beings how to physically interact with these abstract forces and to foster a reverence for the natural materials around them.
The system of correspondences is incredibly rich and specific. For Mars, his assigned favorite metal is gold.
Gold, okay.
And his favorite botanical specimen is the Chandra tree, which is scientifically known as the Mimosa catechu. The inclusion of these specific elements in the texts is not arbitrary world building.
What's the purpose then?
Ancient practitioners believe these preferences related to the intrinsic medicinal properties of the plant, the specific quality of the air it purifies, or the unique vibrational frequencies these materials emit when utilized in rituals meant to invoke martial or protective energy.
Wow.
Gold, for instance, represents enduring value, uncorrupted by time, a perfectly fitting metal for a protector of lasting property.
If we pull this all together and look at how it plays out in a human life today, the implications are just wild.
They really are.
Let's say someone listening right now is embroiled in a stressful negotiation to buy a home, or they are locked in a dispute trying to defend their property lines. According to this ancient, sophisticated framework, they shouldn't just be praying to some nebulous general god of wealth or luck.
Right, that wouldn't be targeted enough.
Exactly. They are fundamentally appealing to the ultimate celestial real estate guardian, a guardian who just so happens to be a lightning-fast, highly armed, slightly vain warrior born from the processed trauma of the universe.
When you phrase it like that, it's quite an image.
When you realize that the son of the earth holds the keys to the land, the entire concept of property ownership takes on a deeply spiritual weight.
It shifts the pursuit of shelter from a purely capitalistic endeavor to a profound interaction with cosmic forces.
Totally.
It provides a highly specific, focused archetype for human ambition regarding property and security. When you lock your door at night, you're unknowingly invoking the ancient energy of the Earth's protector,
But Mars doesn't just govern the physical walls, the wood, and the brick of our homes. He also governs the fiery, volatile dynamics that happen inside those walls, specifically between the people living there.
Yes, the internal dynamics.
And this brings us to what I think is the most surprising, counterintuitive aspect of the entire Mars mythology. Let's explore the spark of passion and the massive influence of Mars in intimate human relationships.
This is the juncture where we bring the sweeping, violent cosmic influence of Mars down to its most vulnerable and intimate level.
Interpersonal dynamics, sexual attraction, and the sustained unity of a marriage.
Exactly. There is a remarkably blunt ancient adage explicitly stated within the astrological texts: Mars is man and Venus is woman.
So the whole men are from Mars, women are from Venus concept wasn't just a catchy title for a 90s pop psychology bestseller.
No, not at all. The core archetypal concept is literally embedded in the ancient Puranas.
That is mind-blowing.
It is an archetypal concept with immensely deep historical and psychological roots. Within the framework of these ancient texts, Mars is the planet that imparts the specific qualities that traditionally defined masculinity in that era.
Representing the raw, initiating spark of action?
Yes, the outward projection of desire and the drive to conquer. Because of this, he has a massive, undeniable say in the mechanics of the man-woman relationship.
And the sources outline a very specific timeline for his involvement, right? They state that Mars is the energetic force that starts the initial attraction, the drive that consummates that attraction, and ultimately the energy that finishes it.
He is the alpha and the omega of the romantic and sexual drive.
Okay, but the texts introduce a crucial, fascinating paradox here.
They do.
Despite being fundamentally defined as a war god, or if we analyze it deeply, perhaps because he is a war god, he exercises a significant, profound influence on the overall unity, longevity, and understanding between spouses in a marital relationship.
Right.
This is exactly where the surface-level gross story seems to clash with the subtle reality, and I want to really dig into it.
Let's do it.
Why on earth would the ancient sages dictate that a god of war, a deity defined by warfare, weaponry, and despicable vanity, is the essential ingredient for a happy, unified marriage? I mean, it seems like he would be the deity of divorce.
Well, if we bypass the romanticized, modern view of marriage and truly analyze what constitutes lasting marital unity, the logic of the ancient sages becomes brilliantly clear.
Okay, hit me with it.
Marital unity is very rarely achieved through passive, uninterrupted peace. Passive peace in a long-term relationship is often just a mask for apathy or conflict avoidance.
Just sweeping things under the rug.
Exactly. True, enduring unity requires intense, active work. It requires the energy to confront uncomfortable truths, the courage to tackle external obstacles together, and the fiery, sustained spark of passion to prevent the bond from withering.
Oh, I see where this is going.
Mars provides the necessary action and friction required to maintain a profound, living bond. He is the kinetic energy that prevents marital stagnation.
I see the genius in that now. It's like Mars is playing two completely different vital roles simultaneously.
He is.
On one hand, he's the inciting incident, the rom-com meet-cute that sparks the initial undeniable attraction. He's that sudden flash of lightning across a crowded room.
The initial spark, yes.
But as the relationship matures, his role shifts. He becomes the fierce, demanding couples therapist that forces both partners to actively work on their understanding.
I love the therapist analogy.
He provides the friction that keeps the fire burning. He makes you fight for the relationship rather than fighting against each other.
And that is the exact, subtle psychological truth hidden within the gross mythology of the warrior. The god of war isn't present in the home to cause a rupture.
Right.
The warrior is there to grant you the necessary strength to fiercely protect the vows you've made with the exact same ferocity that he uses to protect the physical shelter of the home itself.
He defends the emotional territory just as fiercely as the physical territory.
Precisely.
This has been an absolutely mind-bending journey. We've taken what most people just see as a little red dot in the sky or a destination for a future NASA rover, and we've unpacked an entire breathing universe of psychological and spiritual meaning.
It's a testament to the depth of the source material.
Let's briefly summarize the incredible journey of Mars that we've mapped out through these ancient texts today.
Sure.
We started in the dark, suffocating depths of the unmanifested cosmic ocean, where the physical Earth was rescued from the grip of pure ego by the jaws of a colossal divine boar.
Great rescue.
And from that unparalleled act of salvation and the Earth's profound gratitude, a child was promised. Simultaneously, we witnessed the agonizing, sweaty, pressure cooker meditation of a grieving Lord Shiva, processing the ultimate universe-shattering heartbreak on the icy peaks of Mount Kailash.
The processing of cosmic grief.
And from the explosive union of that divine sweat of trauma and the receptive, grateful earth, Mangala was born. He emerged as the golden, lightning-clad celestial commander of the stars.
The Bhumiputra.
He is the ultimate doer, a warrior who suffers from the very human friction of vanity, yet utilizes his immense, unyielding power to secure the physical walls of our homes and fuel the deepest, most intimate passions within our relationships.
It stands as a truly remarkable synthesis of cosmology, human psychology, and spiritual philosophy. The mythology does not just dictate celestial movements, it serves as a highly polished mirror, reflecting our own internal drives, our flaws, and our capacities for protective love.
Absolutely. The sages knew exactly what they were doing when they encoded these truths.
They absolutely did.
So the next time you find yourself acting with sudden, unshakable confidence in a boardroom, or you feel that fierce, territorial drive to protect your home and the people you love from harm, remember that you aren't just having a random emotional reaction.
You're channeling something much older.
According to this ancient, sophisticated wisdom, you are directly tapping into the ancient energy of Bhumiputra.
You are actively channeling the celestial commander in your daily life.
And I want to leave you, the listener, with this lingering, provocative thought to mull over as you go about your day.
Let's hear it.
We've established that in this framework, our very earthly struggles for secure shelter, for physical property, and for passionate love are governed by the ancient grief, the profound gratitude, and the literal sweat of the gods.
Yes.
If that is the case, perhaps our own profound moments of sudden, brilliant inspiration or our flashes of fierce, undeniable determination are not just random brain chemistry.
What are they then?
Perhaps they are the resonant echoes of that original cosmic drop of sweat falling to the earth.
Oh.
Think deeply about your own life and the times you have felt stuck or paralyzed. What vast, dormant universe of kinetic energy is currently sitting inside your own periods of forced stillness?
That's a powerful question.
What power is brewing inside your own deep meditations or your own unprocessed grief, just waiting for the right moment, the right spark, to break out of the stillness and explode into decisive, life-altering action?
An incredibly profound and necessary question for anyone seeking to understand their own internal universe.
Until next time, keep looking up and keep diving deep into the code.